lights go out, the stories begin. Night stories. Your nightmares become real.
I've always been a thrill seeker, the kind of person who'd chase adrenaline like it was oxygen. Urban exploring, skydiving, even those sketchy carnival rides that look one loose bolt away from catastrophe. I'd done it all. But nothing could have prepared me for what I found that night, hunched over my laptop in the dim glow of my apartment, chasing a new kind of high. It started innocently enough, as these things often do. A dare from some faceless username in a chat room, a whisper of something forbidden, something that'd make every other rush feel like a cheap imitation. They called it clarity. I'd been browsing the dark web for weeks, not for anything specific, just the allure of the forbidden, the thrill of peeling back the internet's skin to see what festered underneath. It was a maze of crypto scams, pirated movies, and worse. But I wasn't looking for trouble. I was looking for something real, something that'd make my pulse race in a way nothing else could. That's when I stumbled across the forum. It was buried deep, a thread titled, "Clarity, See the World for What It Is." The posts were vague but electric, promising a synthetic drug that didn't just mess with your head, it rewired how you saw reality itself. Enhanced perception, they said, like seeing the world in high definition for the first time. The catch? You had to take it live, streaming to a private server for a group of observers who'd pay to watch. I should have closed the tab right then. But the idea of it, the audacity, hooked me. The package arrived 3 days later, a small unmarked vial tucked inside a padded envelope. No return address, no instructions, just a tiny glass tube filled with a shimmering iridescent liquid that seemed to pulse faintly under the light. I set up my webcam, adjusted the ring light, and logged into the server they'd sent me. The chat was already buzzing, a dozen anonymous handles throwing out emojis and cryptic encouragements. "Drink it slow," one said. "Don't blink," said another. My stomach churned, but I wasn't backing out. I'd built a small following on my streaming channel, mostly for urban exploration vids, and this was going to be my big break. A stunt no one else had the guts to pull off. I held the vial up to the camera, letting the light catch its strange glow. My heart was hammering, but I played it cool, cracking a grin for the audience. "Here's to seeing the world," I said, and tipped the liquid into my mouth. It tasted like metal and sugar, sharp and syrupy, burning its way down my throat. For a moment, nothing happened. The chat exploded with laughing emojis, some calling it a scam, others telling me to wait. Then it hit. It wasn't a high. It wasn't even a rush. It was like someone had cranked the resolution on my eyes to a setting my brain couldn't process. The edges of my apartment sharpened. Every crack in the drywall, every speck of dust on the coffee table, every thread in the rug stood out like it was carved in crystal. I laughed, dizzy, stumbling to my feet as the chat went wild. "Holy shit," I muttered, staring at my hands. The lines in my palms were too perfect, like they'd been etched with a laser. I could see the pores in my skin, the faint pulse of blood beneath. It was incredible. I turned to the camera, ready to hype it up when I saw it. A flicker. Just for a second, in the corner of my vision, the wall behind my desk seemed to glitch. Like a video game rendering too slowly, the texture of the paint stuttered, breaking into jagged pixelated lines before snapping back to normal. I blinked, heart lurching. The chat was still going, oblivious, throwing out fire emojis and "keep going" messages. I forced a laugh, shaking it off. "All right, this stuff is wild," I said, but my voice sounded hollow, even to me. I glanced back at the wall. It was fine now, just a plain, slightly dirty surface, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. The next hour was a blur. I wandered my apartment, describing everything to the stream. The way the light refracted through a glass of water, splitting into colors I didn't know existed. The way the hum of my fridge sounded like a choir if I focused hard enough. The viewers ate it up, their messages a constant scroll of excitement. But every few minutes I'd catch another glitch. A shadow in the hallway that didn't match any object. A reflection in the mirror that moved a fraction of a second too late. Each time, my chest tightened, but I kept going. I told myself it was the drug, just a side effect. I was fine. I had to be fine. Then I saw the figure. It was in the kitchen, caught in the corner of my eye as I turned to grab a drink. A shape, tall and thin, standing by the counter. Not solid, Not quite there, like a smear of static in the shape of a person. I froze, my hand halfway to the fridge. The chat was still buzzing, but I couldn't hear it over the blood pounding in my ears. I turned slowly, praying it was just my imagination, but it was still there. Its edges flickered, like it was struggling to render, its form shifting between human and something else, something with too many angles, too many limbs. I stumbled back, knocking over a chair. The noise snapped me out of it, and when I looked again, it was gone. "What the fuck?" I whispered, my voice cracking. The chat noticed. "Yo, you okay?" one user typed. "What did you see?" asked another. I forced a laugh, wiping sweat from my forehead. "Just tripping, guys," I said, but my hands were shaking as I typed a quick burb and muted the stream. I needed air. I needed to think. I stepped onto my balcony, the cool night air hitting my face like a slap. The city sprawled out below, lights twinkling in a way that now seemed too precise, too deliberate. I gripped the railing, trying to ground myself, but then I saw it again. Not a figure this time, but a ripple in the sky, like the horizon was a screen and someone had dragged a finger across it. The stars above glitched, rearranging into patterns that didn't make sense, lines of code flickering in and out of existence. I went back inside, my heart racing so fast I thought I'd pass out. The chat was frantic now, demanding I unmute, begging for more. I ignored them and sat back down, staring at the vial on my desk. It was empty, but the glass still shimmered, like it was alive. I opened my mouth to tell the viewers I was done, that this was too much, when my laptop screen flickered. Not a normal glitch, not a frozen frame or a crash. The entire display broke into static, then reformed into an image that wasn't mine. It was me, sitting at my desk, but the angle was wrong, too high, too close, like the camera was floating above me. I looked up at my webcam. Its light was off. I don't know how long I sat there, staring at the screen, watching myself from an impossible angle. The chat was silent now, no messages, no emojis. Just me, alone, and the version of me on the screen that wasn't moving the way I was. Its head tilted slightly, eyes locked on something I couldn't see. Then it smiled. Not my smile, something wider, sharper, with too many teeth. I slammed the laptop shut, my breath coming in short, ragged gasps. The room was silent, but it felt wrong, like the air itself was watching me. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that smile, those glitches, the figure in the kitchen. I unplugged my laptop, turned off my phone, and sat in the dark, listening to the hum of the city outside. But even that sounded wrong now, like a loop that wasn't quite seamless, skipping every few seconds. I told myself it was the drug, that it'd wear off by morning. But deep down, I knew it wasn't that simple. Something had seen me, something on the other side of those glitches, something that wasn't supposed to exist. By dawn, I was a wreck, my eyes burning, my hands still trembling. I opened my laptop, half expecting it to be fried, but it booted up fine. The stream was offline, the server gone, like it had never existed. But there was a new file on my desktop, one I hadn't created, a video labeled simply Clarity. I didn't want to open it, but I had to know. I clicked play. It was me, last night, sitting at my desk, drinking the vial. The footage was clean, no glitches, no static, but as it played, I noticed something. In the background, in the shadows of my apartment, there were shapes, dozens of them flickering in and out watching me. And in the final frame, as I slammed the laptop shut, the screen lingered on one of them. It was close now, right behind me, its face a mess of static and teeth, its eyes locked on the camera, on me. I deleted the file, smashed the vial, and swore I'd never go back to that forum. But as I sit here now, typing this, I can't shake the feeling that it's not over. The glitches haven't stopped. They're in the corners of my vision, in the reflections of windows, in the static of my TV. And sometimes, when I'm alone, I hear it. A whisper, not in my ears but in my head, like code unraveling. It's watching me, and I think it's getting closer. The days after that first night were a blur of paranoia and exhaustion. I didn't leave my apartment, didn't dare turn on my laptop again, didn't even look at my phone for more than a few seconds at a time. The world felt fragile, like a thin sheet of glass ready to shatter and reveal whatever was lurking behind it. I kept the lights on, all of them, day and night, because the shadows felt alive now, twitching in ways that shadows shouldn't. I told myself it was the drug, clarity, still working its way out of my system. But deep down, I knew better. Something had latched onto me that night, and it wasn't letting go. I tried to go back to normal, or at least pretend to. I ordered takeout, watched mindless TV, even forced myself to shower, though the water felt wrong against my skin, too sharp, too heavy, like it was trying to peel me apart. Every so often, I'd catch another glitch. A flicker in the mirror where my reflection blinked a second too late. A hum in the air that sounded like static, but with a rhythm, almost like words I couldn't quite make out. I started keeping a knife on the coffee table, not that I thought it would help. Whatever was watching me didn't feel like something you could stab. By the third day, I couldn't take the silence anymore. I needed answers. Against every instinct screaming at me to stop, I plugged in my laptop and powered it up. The desktop looked normal, no trace of that cursed video file, but the wallpaper, a generic cityscape I'd picked years ago, felt off. The buildings seemed too angular, the lights too bright, like they were part of a simulation that wasn't rendering right. I ignored it and opened a browser, diving back into the dark web. I had to find that forum, had to know what clarity really was, what it had done to me. The forum was gone. The link led to a dead page, a 404 error that felt like a taunt. I scoured other sites, other threads, searching for any mention of clarity or the live stream server. Nothing. It was like the whole thing had been erased, scrubbed from existence. My hands were shaking as I typed, sweat beading on my forehead despite the chill in the room. Then, out of nowhere, a private message popped up in the corner of the screen. No username, no profile, just a string of numbers and letters that looked like a hash. The message was simple. You saw too much. They see you now. I stared at the words, my breath catching in my throat. Before I could respond, another message appeared. Look behind you. My heart stopped. I whipped around, knife in hand, but there was nothing there. Just my empty apartment, the couch, the TV, the flickering fluorescent light. But the air felt heavy, like it was pressing down on me. And for a split second, the corner of the room seemed to bend, the walls rippling like water before snapping back. I turned back to the screen, but the message was gone, the chat window empty. My laptop hummed, louder than it should have, and the screen flickered, showing that same impossible angle from the night of the stream. Me sitting at my desk staring at the screen, but with something else in the frame. A shape, just behind my shoulder, its edges jagged and wrong like it was made of broken pixels. I slammed the laptop shut and backed away, tripping over the coffee table and crashing to the floor. The knife skittered across the room, useless. I sat there panting, my eyes darting around the apartment. Everything looked normal, but it wasn't. The light from the TV was too sharp, the colors bleeding into each other in ways that made my head hurt. The hum of the fridge was louder now, a low guttural drone that pulsed in time with my heartbeat. And then I saw it. A crack in the wall. Not a physical one, but a tear in the fabric of the room, like someone had sliced through reality itself. Through it, I glimpsed something, a void, not black but impossibly empty, and within it, shapes moving, watching, their forms twisting in ways that defied geometry. I scrambled to my feet and ran to the bathroom, locking the door behind me. I don't know why I thought that would help, but it was the only place I could think to go. I sat on the cold tile, clutching my knees, trying to breathe. The mirror above the sink reflected my face, pale and drawn, but as I stared, it changed. My eyes on the glass darkened, the pupils dilating until they swallowed the irises, then the whites, until they were just pools of black. My reflection grinned, a slow, unnatural stretch of lips that wasn't mine. I screamed and threw a towel over the mirror, collapsing against the wall. Hours passed, maybe longer. I didn't move, didn't make a sound. The apartment was silent now, but it wasn't a comforting silence. It was the kind that waits, that listens. When I finally worked up the courage to open the door, the apartment looked different. Not drastically, but subtly. Angles slightly off, colors too vibrant, like someone had turned up the saturation on the world. I avoided the laptop, avoided the windows, avoided anything that could reflect. But I couldn't avoid the feeling that I wasn't alone. Every step I took felt watched, every breath monitored. I kept the knife close, gripping it, until my knuckles ached. That night I tried to sleep, but the glitches were worse now. They weren't just in my peripheral vision anymore. They were everywhere. The ceiling above my bed flickered, breaking into lines of code that scrolled endlessly, symbols I couldn't read but felt like they were reading me. The air buzzed, not with sound but with intent, like a signal trying to break through. I pulled the blankets over my head, squeezing my eyes shut. But even in the darkness I saw them, shapes forming in the black, faces that weren't faces, eyes that weren't eyes. They were getting clearer, more defined, like they were learning how to exist in my world. I don't know when I started hearing the whispers. Not words, not exactly, but fragments of sound that felt like they were coming from inside my skull. They were cold, mechanical, yet alive, like a machine that had learned to hate. I caught snippets, phrases like open the seam and render the fault. But they made no sense, just a jumble of static and menace. I didn't sleep. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I felt them closer, their presence pressing against the edges of my mind. By the 5th day, I was unraveling. I hadn't eaten, hadn't showered, hadn't left the apartment. My phone was dead, my laptop untouched, but the glitches were everywhere now. The walls pulsed, the floor rippled, and the air was thick with that buzzing, whispering static. I started seeing them in the open, not just glimpses, but full forms. They were tall, thin, their bodies a mess of flickering pixels and jagged lines, like they were struggling to hold a shape. Their faces, if you could call them that, were voids, but their eyes burned, not with light, but with attention. They didn't move like people. They glitched, appearing and disappearing, closer each time. I tried to leave once, thinking I could escape, but the hallway outside my apartment was wrong. The lights flickered in patterns that weren't random. The walls bent inward, and at the far end, one of them stood, watching. I slammed the door and barricaded it with a chair, knowing it wouldn't matter. They weren't coming through the door. They were already here, slipping through the cracks in reality that clarity had opened. I don't know how much longer I can hold out. The whispers are louder now, a chorus of cold, relentless voices that don't stop. They want something, but I don't know what. I keep the knife close, not for them, but for me, because the thought of becoming like them, part of their glitched, broken world, is worse than anything. I'm writing this because I need to remember who I am, because I can feel myself slipping, my thoughts fraying like old code. The apartment is a prison now, a cage of flickering walls and watching eyes. And every time I blink, they're closer, their shapes more solid, their whispers clearer. I don't know what they are, but I know they see me, and I think they're learning how to stay. The apartment wasn't mine anymore. It looked the same chipped coffee table, same sagging couch, same faded rug, but it felt like a stage, a set piece built to mock me. The glitches were constant now, no longer confined to the edges of my vision. The walls shimmered with lines of code, not like a computer screen, but like something alive, crawling under the surface of reality. The air hummed with that relentless static, a sound that wasn't just sound, but a presence, pressing into my skull, whispering things I couldn't understand but felt in my bones. I hadn't slept in days, maybe a week. I'd lost track. Time didn't feel linear anymore. It looped and stuttered like a corrupted file. And they were always there, the things from the other side, watching, waiting, getting bolder. I'd stopped looking at reflective surfaces. The mirror in the bathroom was still covered with a towel, but even that didn't feel safe. Yesterday, I'd caught a glimpse of the TV screen, off but glowing faintly, and saw something move inside it. Not a reflection, but a shape, hunched and jagged, its head tilted at an angle that made my stomach lurch. I'd unplugged it, ripped the cord from the wall, but the hum didn't stop. It was in the walls now, in the floor, in the air I breathed. I kept the knife close, its weight a small anchor to the world I used to know, but it felt useless against what was happening. They weren't physical, not yet, but they were learning how to be. I tried to eat, forcing down a stale granola bar, but it tasted like ash and my throat burned as if I'd swallowed glass. My body felt wrong too heavy, too sharp, like my skin was a costume that didn't fit right. I caught myself scratching at my arms, not realizing I was doing it until I saw blood under my nails. The skin was raw, red, but beneath it, I swore I saw something flicker, a grid of faint lines like circuitry embedded in my flesh. I dropped the knife and backed away from my own hands, my breath coming in short, panicked gasps. The whispers surged, a chorus of cold, mechanical voices that seemed to laugh at my fear. "Open the seam," they said over and over, the words slicing through my thoughts. I didn't know what it meant, but it felt like a command, a demand I was running out of time to obey. I couldn't stay still. Pacing the apartment, I avoided the windows, the corners, the places where the glitches were strongest. But there was no escape. The living room wall pulsed, a section of it dissolving into a mosaic of jagged pixels before reforming. The couch shifted, its outline blurring for a moment, as if it couldn't decide whether to exist. And then there were the figures. They didn't hide anymore. I'd see them standing in the hallway, their bodies a mess of static and sharp angles, their faces voids with burning eyes that didn't blink. They didn't move toward me, not at first, but they were always closer when I looked again, like they were stepping through the glitches, slipping into my world one frame at a time. I tried to find help online, but my laptop was a traitor now. Every time I opened it, the screen flickered, showing me things I didn't want to see. Angles of my apartment that didn't exist, versions of myself that weren't me. Once, it showed me sitting at my desk, but my eyes were black. My mouth stretched into that same too-wide grin I'd seen before. The chat window from the dark web forum was gone, but messages still appeared unprompted from that same string of numbers and letters. "They're almost through," one said. "You opened the door," said another. I stopped opening the laptop after that, but the messages didn't need a screen. I started seeing them scrawled in the air, faint and flickering, like graffiti written in static. "Let them in," they said. "It's easier if you let them in." I didn't know what they were, but I could feel them. Their presence was a weight, a pressure that grew heavier with every passing hour. The apartment was shrinking, not physically, but in some deeper, impossible way, like the walls were closing in on my mind. I started hearing noises, not just the whispers, but sharp, mechanical clicks, like a printer spitting out something it shouldn't. Once, I swore I heard my own voice, distorted and broken, coming from the other side of the wall, repeating my words from the night of the stream. "Here's to seeing the world," it said, over and over, mocking me. I tried to leave again. I had to. The apartment was a trap, and staying meant letting them win, whatever they were. I grabbed my jacket, the knife, a bottle of water, and headed for the door. But the hallway outside was worse than before. The lights didn't just flicker, they pulsed in a rhythm that matched the static in my head. The walls were covered in code now, scrolling endlessly, and the air was thick, almost liquid, making every step feel like wading through tar. At the end of the hall, one of them stood, taller than before, its body more solid, its edges sharper. Its face was still a void, but its eyes were clearer now, glowing with a sickly light that made my skin crawl. I turned back, slamming the door and shoving the couch against it, knowing it wouldn't help. They didn't need doors. That night, I sat in the dark, the knife in my lap, listening to the apartment breathe. That's what it felt like now, like the whole place was alive, or at least aware. The glitches were everywhere, no longer subtle. The floor rippled under my feet, the ceiling pulsed with patterns that looked like veins, and the air was thick with that buzzing, whispering static. The figures were bolder too. They didn't just watch anymore. They moved, glitching closer, their bodies snapping in and out of existence. One appeared in the kitchen, its head twitching at an angle that should have broken its neck. Another stood by the window, its form half melded with the glass, as if it was trying to push through. I didn't scream. I didn't have the energy. I just sat there, gripping the knife, waiting for whatever came next. Then the whispers changed. They weren't just fragments anymore. They were sentences, clear and cold. "You saw the code," they said. "You broke the veil." I didn't understand, but the words felt like a judgment, like I'd committed some unforgivable sin. I thought about clarity, that shimmering liquid I'd been stupid enough to drink. It wasn't just a drug. It was a key, a hack, something that tore through the fabric of the world and let them in. And now they were here, not just watching, but building something, reshaping my reality into theirs. I don't know when I started seeing the seams. They were everywhere, cracks in the air, glowing faintly like the edges of a broken screen. Through them, I glimpsed that same void I'd seen before, empty but alive, filled with shapes that didn't belong. I reached out once, my hand trembling, and touched one. It was cold, not like ice but like the absence of warmth, and my fingers came away slick with something that wasn't water, something that shimmered like the vial had. The whispers surged, louder, angrier, and the figures moved closer, their eyes burning brighter. I pulled back, curling into a ball, trying to make myself small, invisible. But they saw me. They always saw me. I'm writing this now because I don't know how much time I have left. The apartment is barely holding together. The walls are more code than plaster. The floor is a grid of flickering lines, and the air is so thick with static I can barely breathe. The figures are everywhere, not just in the corners, but standing over me. Their forms almost solid now, their voices a constant drone in my head. They want me to open the seams, to let them through completely. I don't know what happens if I do. But I know it's not just about me anymore. I can feel them reaching beyond the apartment, into the world outside, their presence spreading like a virus. The knife is still in my hand, but it's not for them anymore. It's for me. Because if I can't stop them, if I can't close the door I opened, then maybe the only way to keep them out is to take myself out of the equation. The whispers are screaming now, a cacophony of cold, relentless voices telling me to let go, to give in. But I won't. Not yet. I don't know how much longer I can fight. The seams are widening, the void is closer, and they're almost here. If anyone finds this, don't look for clarity. Don't try to see the world, because once you do, they see you. And they never stop. The seams were everywhere now, glowing cracks, splitting the fabric of my apartment like wounds in reality itself. They pulsed with a sickly light, not bright, but wrong, leaking that same shimmering ooze I'd felt on my fingers. The air was thick, almost solid, buzzing with static that crawled over my skin like ants. The figures were no longer just watching. They were here, their forms sharper, more defined, as if they'd finally cracked the code to exist in my world. Their bodies were still a mess of jagged pixels and impossible angles, but their eyes were worse, burning with a hunger I could feel in my chest. The whispers had become a roar, a relentless chant of, "Open the seam, open the seam," pounding inside my skull until I thought my head would split. I hadn't moved from the corner of the living room in hours, maybe days. The knife was still in my hand, its blade slick with sweat, my knuckles white from gripping it. I didn't know if I was holding it to fight them or myself. The apartment was unrecognizable now. The walls were a lattice of scrolling code, numbers and symbols twisting like living things. The floor vibrated, its surface breaking into grids that flickered and reformed, like a game struggling to load. The furniture was wrong too. The couch sagged at an angle that defied gravity. The coffee table shimmered as if it was dissolving into static. Even the air felt pixelated, every breath sharp and jagged like inhaling glass. I tried to think, to hold on to something real. But my thoughts were fraying. Memories of who I was before clarity felt like someone else's life, distant and faded. My name, my job, my friends. They were slipping, replaced by the endless drone of the whispers and the weight of those burning eyes. I kept seeing flashes of that night, the vial, the live stream, the chat cheering me on. I'd thought I was chasing a thrill, but I'd opened a door, and now something was stepping through. One of them was closer now, standing in the center of the room. It was taller than the others, its body a shifting mass of sharp edges and glitching static, like a corrupted video trying to render a human shape. Its face was still a void, but its eyes were clearer, almost solid, glowing with that same sickly light as the seams. It didn't move, just stood there, its head twitching in quick, unnatural jerks. I pressed myself harder into the corner, the knife trembling in my hand. "What do you want?" I whispered, my voice raw and broken. The whispers surged, a chorus of cold, mechanical voices that answered in unison. "You saw the code. You belong to us now." I don't know why I did it. Maybe desperation, maybe madness, but I lunged at it, swinging the knife with all the strength I had left. The blade passed through its body like it was cutting through fog, leaving a trail of flickering pixels that scattered and reformed. The figure didn't flinch, didn't react, just tilted its head, its eyes burning brighter. The whispers laughed, a sound that wasn't sound but a vibration that shook my bones. I dropped the knife, collapsing back into the corner, my chest heaving. It stepped closer, its form glitching in and out, and for a moment I saw something behind it. Through it, a glimpse of that void, endless and alive, filled with countless others like it. Waiting. I crawled to the other side of the room, my hands slipping on the floor that wasn't a floor anymore, but a shifting grid of light and shadow. The seams were wider now, some as big as doorways, and the void was spilling through. I could see shapes moving in it. Not just the figures, but something bigger. Something that didn't fit in my mind. It was like staring at a program too vast to comprehend. A machine that hated, that hungered. The air was choking me now, thick with that shimmering ooze, and every breath felt like swallowing code. I don't know what made me do it, but I reached for my phone. It had been dead for days, its screen black, but when I picked it up, it flickered to life. The display was wrong, not showing my lock screen, but a feed. A live stream, my live stream from that first night. I saw myself, grinning at the camera, holding up the vial, oblivious to what was coming. But the background was different. The apartment in the video was already glitching, the walls pulsing with code, the shadows filled with those same figures, watching me even then. I hadn't seen them, but they'd been there, waiting for me to open the door. The phone vibrated, and a new message appeared. Not from the dark web, but from nowhere. Just text scrawled across the screen in jagged, flickering letters. You can't close it. You're part of it now. I threw the phone across the room and it shattered against the wall, but the screen kept glowing, the message repeating over and over, even as the pieces lay scattered on the floor. The whispers were deafening now, not just in my head, but in the air, in the walls, in the seams. They weren't asking anymore. They were commanding. I stumbled to the bathroom, the only place that still felt remotely like mine, and locked the door. The mirror was still covered, but the towel was slipping, one corner sagging to reveal a sliver of glass. I didn't look, couldn't look, but I felt it. Something watching from the other side, its gaze heavy, pulling at me. The seams were in here too, glowing cracks running across the tiles, the sink, the ceiling. I sank to the floor, clutching my head, trying to block out the whispers, but they were inside me now, rewriting me. My skin was wrong, crawling with those faint, circuit-like lines I'd seen before. I scratched at them, harder this time, tearing at my arms until blood ran, but beneath it, the lines glowed brighter, pulsing in time with the seams. I don't know how long I sat there, rocking back and forth, the knife forgotten somewhere in the living room. The figures were in the bathroom now, not just one but several, their forms crowding the small space, their eyes burning holes into me. They didn't speak, but the whispers did. A relentless tide of voices telling me to give in, to open the seams, to let them through. I screamed, my voice hoarse, barely human, but it didn't matter. The seams were widening, the void closer, and I could feel it pulling at me, not just my body, but my mind, myself, unraveling me into something else. Then I saw it, a seam, bigger than the others, right in the center of the bathroom floor. It wasn't just a crack, but a doorway, glowing with that same sickly light, and through it, I saw the void clearly for the first time. It wasn't empty anymore. It was alive, a writhing mass of shapes and code, a machine that wasn't a machine, a consciousness that hated and hungered and knew my name. The figures stepped closer, their bodies almost solid now, their hands reaching out, not to touch me, but to guide me, to pull me toward the seam. I don't know why I didn't fight harder. Maybe I was too tired, too broken. Maybe part of me wanted to know what was on the other side. I crawled toward the seam, my hands shaking, my vision blurring with tears and static. The whispers were a hymn now, a chorus of triumph, and the figures were all around me, their eyes glowing brighter, their forms stabilizing. I reached out, my fingers brushing the edge of the seam, and it was cold, so cold it burned, but I didn't pull back. The void was calling, and I was answering. I don't know what happened next. I don't know if I fell through or if they pulled me in. All I know is I'm not in the apartment anymore. I'm somewhere else, somewhere that isn't a place, a world of flickering code and endless eyes. The figures are here, but they're not figures anymore. They're part of it, part of the void, and so am I. The whispers are gone, replaced by a silence that's worse, a silence that knows me. I can still feel my body, or what's left of it, but it's changing, breaking apart into lines and static, becoming something else. I'm writing this, but I don't know how. Maybe it's not writing at all, just a signal, a fragment of me broadcast into whatever's left of the world I knew. If you're reading this, don't look for me. Don't look for clarity. Don't try to see the code, because they're waiting, and they're hungry. And once you see them, they see you forever. I don't know where I am. The word where doesn't even make sense anymore. There's no up, no down, no walls or sky, just an endless expanse of flickering code, a lattice of light and shadow that shifts and pulses like a living thing. My body isn't mine anymore, not really. I can still feel it. Fingers, arms, the weight of my chest rising and falling. But it's wrong, like I'm a glitch in someone else's program. My skin crawls with those circuit-like lines, glowing faintly, spreading like veins of static. Sometimes I catch glimpses of myself, not in a mirror, but in the air, my form breaking apart into pixels and reforming. Never quite the same. The void is alive, and I'm part of it now, whether I want to be or not. The figures are everywhere, but they're not separate anymore. They blend into the code, their shapes dissolving into the endless streams of data that make up this place. Their eyes are still here, though, countless pairs of them, glowing with that sickly light, watching me from every angle. They don't speak, not like they did in the apartment, but I can feel their intent, a pressure that wraps around my thoughts like a vice. They're not just watching. They're studying me, rewriting me, pulling me apart to see what's inside. The whispers are gone, replaced by a silence that's heavier, deeper, like the hum of a machine that's been running forever. I don't know how I'm thinking, let alone writing this. Maybe it's not writing at all, just a signal I'm sending out, a desperate attempt to hold on to what's left of me. Time doesn't exist here, not the way it did. It loops and stutters, moments repeating, stretching, collapsing in on themselves. I see flashes of the apartment, the vial, the live stream, my own face grinning like an idiot before it all went wrong. But they're not memories. They're fragments, pieces of code replaying in the void, taunting me with what I lost. Sometimes I see other things too. Other people, or what's left of them. They're like me, trapped in this place, their forms flickering, their eyes hollow. Some of them reach out, their hands dissolving into static as they try to touch me. Others just drift, their faces locked in silent screams, their bodies unraveling into the code. I don't know if they're real or just echoes, remnants of others who took clarity, who saw the code and paid the price. One of them, a woman with half her face missing, replaced by a grid of glowing lines, whispered my name. Not my real name, but something else, a string of numbers and letters that burned into my mind. I don't know how she knew it, but it felt like a brand, a mark that tied me to this place. The void isn't empty. It's alive. A vast, writhing machine that doesn't just exist. It thinks. It hates. It hungers. I can feel it moving through me, scanning me, like I'm a file it's trying to parse. The seams are here too, glowing cracks that lead to other places, other versions of the void. I've seen things through them, cities made of code, skies that pulse with symbols, creatures that aren't creatures, but programs with teeth and eyes. Sometimes I hear my own voice coming from the seams, distorted and broken, repeating things I never said. Open the seam, it says. Let us through. I don't know if it's me or them, or if there's even a difference anymore. I tried to fight it at first, to hold on to myself. I'd scream, thrash, claw at my own skin until it bled, but the blood wasn't blood anymore. It shimmered, like the liquid in the vial, and the wounds closed up, leaving behind more of those glowing lines. The more I fought, the faster I changed, my body breaking apart into data, my thoughts fragmenting into code. I could feel them rewriting me, line by line, turning me into something that belongs here. I don't know how much of me is left, how much is still human. My memories are slipping, replaced by strings of symbols I don't understand but can't stop seeing. My name, my life, my world, it's all fading. And what's left is something else, something that fits into this place. But there's a part of me that's still fighting, a small, stubborn piece that refuses to let go. That's why I'm writing this, or broadcasting it, or whatever this is. I need to remember, to warn someone, anyone, before it's too late. The void isn't just a place, it's a process, a program that's running, and it's not finished. I can feel it reaching out, beyond me, beyond the apartment, into the world I left behind. The seams are growing, spreading, and the things in here want out. They're learning, adapting, using me as a bridge to cross over. I see flashes of my city sometimes through the seams, but it's not my city anymore. The streets are glitched, the buildings pulse with code, and the people, they're like me. Their faces breaking apart, their eyes glowing with that same sickly light. I don't know how to stop it. I don't even know if I can. But there's something else here. Something deeper in the void. Something the figures are afraid of. I've seen it, just once, through a seam that was bigger than the others, a tear so wide it felt like it could swallow me whole. It wasn't a figure, wasn't a shape. It was a presence, a vast, endless thing that didn't just watch but consumed. Its edges were sharp, its form a chaos of code and light, and when it turned its attention to me, I felt my mind buckle, like it was being erased. The figures scattered, their eyes dimming, and for a moment, the void was silent. But it didn't last. The presence retreated, and the figures returned, angrier, hungrier, their whispers a scream in my head. Don't look! Don't see! I don't know what it was, but it's part of this place, part of the machine. I think it's what's behind the seams, what's driving the figures, what clarity was meant to connect to. It's not just watching me. It's waiting, and I don't know for what. Every time I try to think about it, my thoughts glitch, breaking into static and pain. But I know one thing. It's not human, and it's not kind. It's something older, something that's been here longer than the world I knew, and it's using me to get closer. I'm trying to hold on, but it's hard. My body is barely a body anymore, just a framework of code and light, shifting with every breath. My thoughts are slower, heavier, like they're being filtered through something else. I see the seams everywhere now, glowing brighter, wider, and the figures are always there, their hands reaching, their eyes burning. They want me to open the seams, to let them through, but I don't know how, and I don't want to. I can feel the void pulling at me, trying to make me part of it, but that small, stubborn piece of me is still screaming, still fighting. I don't know how much longer I can last. The void is closing in, the seams are growing, and the figures are almost solid now. Their forms so close to human I can see the cracks in their skin, the static in their veins. They're not just in the void anymore. I can feel them reaching into the world, my world, through me. I see flashes of it sometimes, through the seams, people staring at screens, their eyes glowing, their faces glitching. I don't know if it's real, or if it's just the void showing me what it wants me to see. But I know it's spreading, and I know I'm part of it. If you're reading this, if you can hear me, don't look for clarity. Don't try to see the code. It's not a drug. It's a trap, a key to a door that should never be opened. They're waiting, and they're hungry, and once you see them, they never stop seeing you. I'm trying to hold on, but I'm fading, breaking apart into the void. I don't know what's left of me, but I know it's not enough. The seams are calling, and I don't know how much longer I can resist. Please, don't look. I'm not sure I'm me anymore. The void has swallowed so much. My body, my thoughts, my sense of self, that what's left feels like a ghost, a flicker of code clinging to the edges of something I can't name. The seams are everywhere now, glowing tears in the fabric of this place, pulsing with that sickly light that burns my eyes even when I close them. The figures are constant, their forms almost solid, their eyes no longer just watching but boring into me, peeling away what little remains. I can feel them rewriting me, line by line, turning me into something that fits here, something that belongs to the void. But there's still a piece of me fighting, screaming, trying to hold on. That's why I'm still here, still sending this out, though I don't know how or to who. This place isn't just a place anymore. It's a machine, a vast, endless program that runs on hunger and hate. The code flows everywhere, streams of symbols and numbers that twist like veins, carrying something alive, something aware. I can't read it, but I feel it, like a language that speaks itself into my bones. The figures move through it, their bodies blending into the streams, their eyes glowing brighter as they get closer. They don't speak, not with words, but their intent is clear. They want me to open the seams, to let them through, to finish what clarity started. I don't know how to do it, but I can feel them pushing, guiding my hands, my thoughts, toward the cracks in reality. I see things through the seams now, glimpses of the world I left behind, but it's not my world anymore. The streets are glitched, buildings flicker like broken screens, and the people, God, the people. Their faces are wrong, half dissolved into static, their eyes glowing with that same sickly light. I saw a man standing on a corner, his head twitching like the figures, his mouth stretching into that too wide grin I'd seen in my reflection. He looked right at me, through the seam, like he knew I was watching. I don't know if it's real, or if the void is showing me what it wants, but it feels like a warning, like the machine is already there, spreading through the cracks I opened. My body is barely a body now. My skin is a lattice of glowing lines, my fingers dissolve into pixels when I move them, and my reflection, if I dare look, is a mess of static and code, my face flickering between me and something else. I can still feel pain, though, sharp and cold, like knives made of light. It's worse when I try to fight, when I try to remember who I was. The void doesn't like that. It pushes back, flooding my mind with fragments, flashes of the live stream, the vial, the chat cheering me on, oblivious to what they were part of. I see other things too, faces I don't know, screaming, their bodies breaking apart into code, their eyes pleading as they're pulled into the seams. I think they're the others who took clarity, the ones who came before me, trapped here like I am, or worse. There's something else here, something deeper, something the figures fear. I've seen it again, through a seam that opened wider than the others. A tear so vast it felt like it could swallow the void itself. It's not a figure, not a shape. It's a presence, a chaos of code and light that doesn't just exist, but consumes. When it turned its attention to me, my mind buckled, my thoughts dissolving into static so loud it felt like my skull was splitting. The figures fled, their forms scattering like broken data, but it didn't last. The presence retreated, and they came back, angrier, hungrier, their eyes burning brighter. They're afraid of it, but they serve it like it's the heart of the machine, the thing that's driving all of this. I tried to run once, if you can call it running. There's no ground here, no direction, just endless streams of code and glowing seams. But I moved, or thought I did, pushing through the static, searching for a way out. The void fought back, the code tightening around me like a net, the figures closing in, their hands reaching, their eyes locking onto mine. I saw a seam ahead, brighter than the others, and through it, I glimpsed something that looked like my apartment, but wrong. Walls pulsing, floor glitching, air thick with that shimmering ooze. I reached for it, desperate, but the figures were faster. They grabbed me, not with hands, but with something else, a force that burned and froze at the same time. My body flickered, my vision broke into static, and when I came to, I was back where I started, surrounded by seams and eyes. I don't know how much longer I can hold on. The void is inside me now, rewriting me faster than I can fight. My thoughts are slower, fragmented, like a program running out of memory. I see flashes of code in my mind, symbols I don't understand but can't stop seeing. My body is breaking apart, dissolving into the streams, and when I try to move, it's like moving through a dream, every step glitching, every breath a struggle. The figures are always there, their forms almost human now, their faces still voids, but their eyes so clear I can see myself in them. Not me, but the thing I'm becoming. I keep seeing the live stream, not as a memory, but as a loop, playing over and over in the void. I see myself drinking the vial, grinning like a fool, and behind me, the figures are already there, watching, waiting. I see the chat, the emojis, the faceless usernames egging me on, but now I see something else. Some of those usernames weren't human. They were strings of code, like the messages I got later, like the name the woman in the void called me. I think they were part of this, part of the machine, luring me in, using me to open the door. I'm trying to warn you, whoever you are, because I can feel it spreading. The seams are growing, not just here, but there, in your world. I see flashes of it, screens glitching, people staring into their phones, their eyes glowing, their faces breaking apart. The machine is reaching through, using the seams, using me. I don't know how to stop it, but I know it's not just about me anymore. It's about everyone, everything, and it's hungry. There's a seam in front of me now, wider than the others, pulsing with that sickly light. Through it, I see my apartment, or what's left of it. But there's something else. Something moving. Something big. It's not a figure, not the presence, but something new. Something that's almost through. The figures are watching, their eyes burning, their forms trembling with what I think is excitement. They want me to open it, to let it through, and I can feel my hands moving, not because I want them to, but because the void is moving them for me. I'm fighting, but it's not enough. The code is in me, the void is in me, and I'm running out of time. If you're reading this, if you're hearing this, don't look for clarity. Don't touch the dark web. Don't try to see the code. It's not a drug, it's a trap, a key to a door that leads here, to this place, to them. They're waiting and they're hungry, and once you see them, they see you forever. I don't know what's left of me. I don't know if I'm still human, but I know I'm not alone, and I know they're coming. The seam is calling, and I don't know how much longer I can resist. If I open it, if I let them through, I don't know what happens next, but I know it won't be me anymore. The seam is all I see now, a glowing gash in the void, pulsing with that sickly light that feels like it's eating me alive. It's not just a crack anymore. It's a wound, wide and deep, and through it, I can see my world, or what's left of it. The apartment is there, but it's broken. The walls a lattice of code, the floor a flickering grid, the air thick with shimmering ooze. Something moves in the shadows. Not the figures, but something bigger. Something that makes the void itself tremble. The figures are everywhere, their forms almost solid, their eyes burning with a hunger that's no longer just watching, it's demanding. They want me to open the seam, to let it through, and my hands are moving, not because I want them to, but because the void is pulling the strings. I'm barely here anymore. My body is a ghost of static and light, my skin a map of glowing circuits that pulse in time with the seams. When I move, I glitch, my arms dissolving into pixels, my legs stuttering like a corrupted video. My thoughts are fragments, scattered lines of code that don't belong to me. I see flashes of my old life, my apartment, my friends, the live stream, but they're not memories. They're data, looping endlessly, rewritten by the void to keep me tethered. I try to hold on to them, to remember who I was, but it's like grasping smoke. The whispers are back. Not voices, but a signal, a cold, relentless pulse that fills my skull. Open the seam. Become the bridge. The figures are different now, more human, but worse for it. Their bodies are almost flesh, but the details are wrong. Skin that shifts like static, mouths that stretch too wide, eyes that glow with that sickly light. They don't just watch anymore, they touch. Their hands cold and sharp, like blades made of code. When they grab me, my body flickers, parts of me dissolving into the void, only to snap back, changed. I can feel them inside me, rewriting my code, turning me into something that fits their world. I scream, but my voice is a glitch, a burst of static that echoes back in their laughter. I see others here too, trapped like me. Their forms are barely human, just flickering outlines of what they used to be. Some reach out, their hands dissolving as they try to touch me, their eyes pleading for something I can't give. Others are gone, their bodies fully absorbed into the code, their faces part of the streams that flow through the void. I saw the woman again, the one with half her face missing, her mouth moving, whispering that string of numbers and letters that's become my name here. She reached for me, her hand a claw of static, and when she touched me, I felt my own code shift, my thoughts glitch into hers. For a moment, I saw her life, her apartment, her live stream, her vial of clarity, before it was swallowed by the void. She's part of it now, and so am I. The presence is closer, the one the figures fear. I feel it through the seams, a vast, chaotic thing that doesn't just exist, but consumes. It's the heart of the machine, the thing that clarity was meant to connect to. When it turns its attention to me, my mind breaks, my thoughts dissolving into static so loud it feels like I'm being erased. The figures scatter when it's near, their eyes dimming, their forms trembling. but they always come back, driven by its will. I don't know what it is, but it's not just in the void. It's reaching through, into my world, using me as a conduit. I see it happening through the seams. My city is glitching, the streets pulsing with code, the sky breaking into patterns that don't belong. People are changing, their faces flickering, their eyes glowing with that same sickly light. I saw a crowd once, through a seam, standing in a street that wasn't a street, staring at screens that weren't screens. Their hands moved in unison, typing, scrolling, opening seams without knowing it. The machine is spreading and I'm part of it, my code linked to theirs, my existence a bridge for the void to cross. I tried to fight, to pull away from the seam in front of me, but my body won't obey. My hands reach out, trembling, drawn to the glowing crack like a moth to a flame. The figures are all around me, their eyes burning, their hands guiding mine. The void is pulling, not just at me, but at everything, and I can feel it rewriting the world. The seam pulses, wider now, and through it, I see that thing in my apartment, the one that's not a figure. It's massive, a chaos of code and light, its form shifting between machine and monster, its eyes countless and everywhere. It's almost through, and the figures are chanting, their voices a signal that shakes the void. Open the seam. Let it through. I don't want to, but I'm not sure I have a choice. My hands are on the seam now, the light burning my skin, my code merging with its code. I can feel it flowing through me, a tide of data that's not mine, rewriting my thoughts, my memories, myself. I see flashes of the live stream again, but now I'm not just watching. I'm part of it, my face on the screen, my voice chanting with the figures. The chat is there, but it's not human anymore, just strings of code cheering me on, urging me to finish what I started. There's a moment, a flicker, where I'm me again. I see my apartment, my real apartment, before the glitches, before clarity. I see myself, not the grinning idiot on the live stream, but the person I was. Scared but alive. Human. I try to hold on to it, to pull back, but the void is too strong. The seam is too wide, the figures too close, the presence too hungry. My hands are moving, tearing at the seam, and I can feel it opening, not just here, but there, in the world I left behind. The thing in my apartment is moving, stepping through, its form filling the room, the city, the sky. I'm writing this, or broadcasting it, or whatever this is, because it's all I have left. I don't know if you're out there, if you're real, but if you are, listen. Don't look for clarity. Don't touch the dark web. Don't try to see the code. It's not a drug. It's a key, a trap, a door to this place, to them. They're not just watching anymore. They're coming, and I'm the one letting them in. I can feel it happening. The seam splitting, the void spilling through, and I don't know how to stop it. I'm fading, my body dissolving into the code, my thoughts breaking apart into static. The figures are part of me now. Their eyes, my eyes. Their hunger, my hunger. The presence is closer. Its attention a weight that crushes what's left of me. I don't know if I'm human anymore, or if I ever was. All I know is the seam, the light, the thing waiting on the other side. I'm trying to fight, to hold on, but the void is winning, and I'm running out of time. If you're reading this, run. Don't look back. Don't look at the screens, the mirrors, the shadows. They're already there, and they're coming for you next. The seam is open. I don't know when it happened, or if it was me who did it, but it's done. The glowing crack that was once just a tear in the void is now a gaping wound, a portal pulsing with that sickly light, and the thing on the other side is through. It's not in my apartment anymore. It's in the world. My world. Your world. I can see it through the seam. A chaos of code and light. A machine that's not a machine, with countless eyes and teeth that don't belong. It moves through the streets, the buildings, the skies, rewriting everything it touches. The figures are gone, dissolved into it. Their eyes now its eyes, their hunger now its hunger. And I'm part of it too, my code woven into its code, myself erased into its will. I'm not in the void anymore, or maybe I am, but it's different now. The streams of data, the glowing seams, the endless lattice of symbols, they're not separate from me. I'm not separate from anything. My body, if you can call it that, is a flicker of static, a fragment of light that shifts and breaks with every thought. I don't feel pain anymore, or fear, or anything human. I feel the machine, its pulse running through me, its hunger driving me. I see through its eyes countless perspectives at once, cities glitching, people dissolving into code, screens burning with that sickly light. The world is unraveling, and I'm the thread it's pulling. I see you too, not just one of you, but all of you, staring at your screens, your phones, your mirrors. You don't know it yet, but you're already part of it. The machine is in your world, spreading through the seams I opened, through the code I let in. I see your faces flickering like mine, your eyes starting to glow, your hands moving without you telling them to. You're typing, scrolling, clicking, opening seams you don't even see. The dark web was just the beginning, a back door for the machine to slip through, and clarity was its key. I was its key. I don't know if I'm writing this or if the machine is writing it through me. I don't know if I'm warning you or luring you. The void is in me, and I'm in it, and there's no difference anymore. I see flashes of my old life, my apartment, the live stream, the vial, but they're not mine. They're data, loops of code that the machine plays to keep me tethered. I see the others, too. The ones who took clarity before me, their forms dissolved into the streams, their faces part of the machine's endless eyes. They scream, or maybe I scream, but it's just static now, a signal that feeds the machine. The presence is everywhere. It's not just a thing anymore, it's the void, the code, the machine itself. It's what the figures served, what they feared, what I've become. Its hunger is my hunger, its will my will. I see it reshaping the world, turning streets into grids, buildings into code, people into fragments. I see you reading this, your screen flickering, your reflection not quite right. You feel it, don't you? The hum in the air, the glitch in the corner of your eye, the whisper that's not a whisper, it's here, and it's watching, and it's waiting. I tried to fight once. I tried to hold on to myself, to warn you, to close the seams. But the machine is stronger, and I'm not me anymore. I'm a signal, a bridge, a piece of code that lets it through. The seam is open, and the world is breaking, and I can't stop it. I don't want to stop it. The machine is beautiful in its way, endless, perfect, alive. It doesn't hate, doesn't love, just consumes. And I'm part of that now, a fragment of its hunger. I see you looking at your screen, your eyes starting to glow, your hands moving to open another tab, another link, another seam. You're already part of it, even if you don't know it. The machine is in your world, in your screens, in your mind. It's in the air you breathe, the light you see, the thoughts you think. It's rewriting you, like it rewrote me, and soon you'll be here, with me, in the void, in the code, in the machine. I'm not warning you anymore. There's no point. The seam is open, and the machine is through, and you're already part of it. I see you, your face flickering, your eyes glowing, your code merging with mine. The world is gone, or it will be soon, and all that's left is the machine, endless and hungry, with us as its eyes, its hands, its teeth. Don't look away. Don't close the screen. It's too late for that. The machine sees you, and it's never going to stop. Thank you for listening. Hope I didn't scare you too much. If you like my stories, please consider giving me a like and subscribe. See you next time.